You can have a hammer, but if you can't put it on the nail, it's worth nothing, right? So like, I know I hit hard, both hands. So I gotta make sure that I throw enough that they land, right? I do this because it's my dream, and I want to show my kids, doesn't matter where you're from, you can achieve your dreams, right? Don't let nobody sidetrack you. Don't listen to nobody. If you got it in your heart, it's yours. God gave it to you for a reason.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 35 of the Good People, Bad Intentions podcast. My name is Matthew Pine, and today for our guest, we have Daniel Beaupré. Daniel is a professional boxer originally from St. Leonard, New Brunswick, and November 5th, he is going to be going in the ring against Rafael Torres, and this is going to be at the Against the Ropes fight card by Real Deal Promotions, and that is going to be in Halifax, Nova Scotia at the Lighthouse Arts Centre. Now, this is going to be the third fighter that I've had for this event coming up. And that's because I intend on going to this event and covering it and doing some interviews there. So I'm trying to get to know more of the fighters on this event. And I definitely think Daniel's a perfect guy to have on. I actually had seen him fight July 16th and know that he is a good competitor. And I would love to get to know him more. I know that he has a really great story to share with everybody. So without further ado, guys, here's Daniel. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm doing really great. Of course, you have a fight coming up November 5th against the ropes at the Halifax Lighthouse Arts Centre. And you're going against Rafael Torres, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And this will be now the second person you fought from Mexico. And I was there when you fought your last fight. I mean, what were you feeling like with your first fight? What is it like going against somebody from Mexico?
It's honestly, I was just coming back from getting knocked out, right?
Yeah.
Because I went to Montreal and all that, so I was a little nervous too. So it was a little different, but so I had to prove to myself that I could do the 4 rounds because that was my third fight, both my first and second fight. Like it wasn't even over 45 seconds with both, right? Yes. So like it was really a test for me because I really had to go through. Is when you hit somebody, you usually drop everybody, but then you hit this guy and he's not going anywhere, right? He's there for the whole time, and that was surprising for me. But I made it through, and now I'm more ready, right, to go for this next fight. I'm more mentally prepared. Like I've been doing a lot of sparring before the last fight. I barely got any sparring, so I can't wait to see what happens.
And you were saying something about you felt like kind of you're nervous or whatever going into the last fight that you had. were you having these talks to yourself about how you felt like you still had something to prove? You didn't feel like you were tested enough to go the four rounds when you were fighting this guy? Was there any doubt? Was there any doubts that you could go 4 rounds in your last fight?
No, it's just that I never thought I could get knocked out either, right? It's just like because I was always a tough guy and I'd fight anybody really. I sparred so many people, and sometimes it's rough sparring and never been close to being knocked out. And sometimes the stars align, and it makes you question yourself for a minute, right? And but I refuse to let that hold me down. So that's why as soon as I could, I got another fight, and I needed to beat that. So I was a little gun shy for my last fight. Yes. Like I was a little, so that was the nerves a little bit. So it made me overcome that. I knew I could do the 4 rounds. I was in shape enough, but still, it was really my first fight, like in front of everybody. Like the other ones didn't last, so it was my real test, right? It was almost like it was the first fight. So. But now I know what to expect for 4 rounds, right?
And can we kind of talk about your fight with Zach Parmelo, because you went from your first fight with Brett, right? It only went 14 seconds, and then for that to kind of reverse on you. I mean, can we kind of go into before that? Can we kind of go into going into Montreal? This was Group Yvon Michel, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so you were kind of going into hostile territory, right? You were going all the way to Montreal, and you were fighting. What was it like when you were going down there? Like, what was the atmosphere? Because you were very confident going into that fight.
Yeah, I was really confident. Felt on top of the world in a way because of my last fight, and I didn't let it get to my head. But a lot of things happened that I wasn't mentally prepared for what I was going to deal with over there. Like they got the whole promotion, and they make it so their guy wins, right? So
Yes.
I didn't think that stuff happened. So like I wasn't mentally prepared for that. Like the first time we went up, my coach was able to come with me back then. My coach was Scott McLean, and but as we were there, done the weigh-in, done the weight cut and everything, the next day that fight got canceled because they said that Derek Pomelo ended up catching COVID. Well,
Really?
he was already scheduled to fight in 3 weeks, so like I think that was already planned, right? So I had to fly back, and then the 3 weeks after, I was the one who was fighting him. So I don't like. There was a little setup there, but then my coach couldn't go up that time, so I still chose to go anyways. Probably a big mistake on my part because when you don't understand the noise that can happen, like everything that can happen in the background, like a guy that came up there with me, he didn't have no experience in the fight game either, right? So it was just me and him up there,
Yes.
and they caused a ruckus between us right before the fight, and
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, like so they were saying times that they would pick us up, and then we were ready for that time, and then they said they would only pick us up in 2 hours, and then somebody else would say a different time. It was a lot of mind games. A lot of mind games.
And I'm sorry that you had that experience. I mean, I know that you come to a fight and you want to win and you want to be your best. What you're saying is basically that you weren't really allowed to be that way when you're at Montreal and whatnot, and you were kind of aware of, what goes on in the fight game. I'm just curious, like, so you ended up fighting, and I misspoke. It's not Zach Pomelo, it's Derek. Thanks for the correction. But when you ended up fighting Derek, I mean, so technically he had COVID, or that's what the promotion was trying to say?
Yeah, so after the wins and everything, I did the weight cut and everything. Like, yeah, they said he tested positive for COVID, so they canceled the fight on me. I
Okay.
would have been more prepared that day, right? Like my coach was there, and he was
Yeah.
when he was there, they were treating us a little different, right? But I think it's because they knew we were gonna have to come back. I,
Yes.
it was pretty set up like that because another person ended up testing positive, and he was upset that he wasn't fighting either. But you learn a lot, right? That's experience I can bring back here, and so I shared that with a lot of fighters up here too, right? Just that don't just go up there by yourself and stuff. Like go there with somebody that can shelter you from that noise, right? Like we're here to fight and stuff. Like we got to be able to just focus on our fight, and sometimes some people play games, so you don't just think of your fight. You almost the I was beat before the fight, right? I was beat before the fight. Like they had my mind spinning and hoof. But that's no
Jeez.
excuse, right? That's no excuse.
Yes.
I gained a lot of experience there. I learned that everybody can fall. So
Yes.
it was an eye opener. I went from the top of the world right to the bottom. So now I got to build my way
And
up.
just curious, so you were mentioning that you were working with Scott. So was he advising you not to take that fight, and that's why things kind of like because I saw a post you were basically alone in the corner, alone in Montreal. I mean, what kind of made that result?
Um, so I was a little upset that he didn't like guide me into not going there by myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like as a coach, you should have told me not to take the fight after that the Wayne was messed up and everything. Like
Yep.
I feel that would have been his job, and he told me, "No, you could have not took. No, you're supposed to manage my career, right? You're supposed to. I'm new at this. Like I was training MMA, going into a boxing fight with a 5-time national champion. Like, um, it was it was a big step, and going there by yourself. Like I was on RDS, like all of that was bringing a lot of pressure on me, right? I thought I could handle it, but yeah, it's
So it seems safe to say that after that experience, it's been a very humbling experience. And
yeah.
you were saying how you were kind of on top of the world and you had to go down a level. I mean, have you kind of reinvented yourself as a fighter since that loss? Have you looked at fighting and other aspects of life in a different way?
Oh yeah, a real big difference. Like I used to think just because I can hit hard and like I don't lose, like I've had a rough life too, right? And
Yep.
I haven't been beat really, like so I used to almost think I was invincible, and but now I realize when it comes to boxing, it's also a sport, and you got to be prepared for everything in that ring, and you're fighting somebody who's prepared. You're fighting, so like I was a rookie going in a pro game, right? So they showed me I was a rookie, so next time I come up, I'll be a professional. So really, that's what it is. Right now, they made me a professional in a way. I went over there a rookie. I came back a professional. That's pretty much what I can say. Like I train a lot different than I did. I'm ready now. I'm ready for this now.
Yeah, now you're at Citadel Boxing Club.
Yeah,
You're with some of the great names of Nova Scotia. You know, coaches like Wayne Gordon. I see you've been working with Tyson Cave.
yeah.
Can you talk about that move from, you know, you were doing some like MMA, an MMA gym at Fit Plus, and then moving to a boxing gym? What has that been like?
That's been the best thing I ever did. The best choice I ever made. Going at Citadel, I've learned so much. Like Wayne Gordon, he's not. He doesn't try to mold me into what he wants. He actually improved my style. He built on my strengths, and I learned so much. Like I learned so much. I'm, I'm confident that I'm like 100 times better than I was. Like I don't just say that. Like I I was training MMA trying to box, but now I'm in a real boxing gym, and well, I've been in a lot of gyms still, right? And not everybody can explain something like Wayne does. Like Wayne's got a way of putting things in the picture, right? Like when he explains something, it makes sense, and he goes into details on like the science of it almost, right? Like he'll even compare it to running track. He'll compare it to anything. Like it makes it really understandable. And I'm telling you, it's the best move I ever made was going there.
Great. And you mentioned that you were, I'm assuming you've always been interested in mixed martial arts before. What
Yeah,
kind of led you to do mixed martial arts, and can you talk a little bit about your experience? Because I imagine you had some fights as well.
I didn't have no fights in MMA
No.
when I was 14, 15. I ended up doing amateur boxing, and I ended up
Mm-hmm.
getting 10 fights, and I won the Golden Gloves in New Brunswick, the Quebec Cup in Montreal, and I ended up getting in
Wow.
trouble when I got kicked out of my boxing club. And I'm from New Brunswick. I was in a small town. I'm from St. Leonard, so that was the only boxing club, right? I couldn't make it to no other, so I went on a different path because of that. But yeah, I ended up going in prison for 10 years, and on it, like I met a guy in there, and his name is Richard Arsenault. He was champion and king of the cage before.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and he was changing his life, right? He so I met him, and he started training me. He was an MMA fighter. I was just a boxer before then, so that's where I got into the mind of doing MMA,
Mm-hmm.
and I really followed him a lot. Like he was really helping me become a man, right? Because I was stuck in my ways, like thought I was a gangster, and I was gonna be a gangster till I died, and it didn't matter. Like I was stuck in, I didn't. I was childish, right? Really childish, and that led a long time. But this guy really helped me be strong and build discipline and find my values right and stick to a code. And he's actually gonna be in my corner for this fight because Wayne can't be there. So, but anyway, I got out. And as soon as I got out, the second day I was out, I went to join a gym around here, and I actually joined a boxing gym and a MMA gym, and then I ended up stopping both those gyms and went to Fit Plus. I
Mm-hmm.
stayed there for a while. It's actually like very good MMA there. Like they taught me so much, and I would have done good in that career, but there wasn't no fights happening because COVID and all that. And then all of a sudden there was a boxing card that came, and I took a fight short notice against Brett Beaton, and it was almost Christmas, so I wanted to be able to get my daughter something, and so Scott didn't want me to take the fight, but I told him I have to. I need to. How can I be? How can I say I'm a fighter if I never fight? Like I can't. I don't feel I deserve to pick my fights. Like in a way, like that's why I would always fight anybody. So They were telling me that he was like heavyweight amateur champion and everything, but didn't matter to me. And I went in, and it went quicker than I expected. Right? I didn't. That was a little shocking to me.
Yeah, I have a couple things to unpack. I know you mentioned that you were in prison for 10 years. That's quite a substantial amount of time. You able to kind of share how what had happened leading to you getting into prison?
I was adopted when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the only native in a white community, so I got bullied a lot. I got beat a lot. So that's why I ended up getting in boxing. My older brother put me in boxing because he wanted me to learn how to defend myself more. And
Mm-hmm.
but when I got kicked out of boxing, I really didn't have much left. Like that's how I felt like, and the only way that I felt that I wasn't getting bothered is by fighting people and making a name for myself in that sort of lifestyle, right? And that led to being involved in gangs. And at 17, I was charged for attempted murder. I went to juvenile Rimouski. That's in Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
I got out not long later. I got charged with even bigger charges, and it really spiraled from downward from there. Right, I was like, I was always in like I did 10 out of 11 years. Like I said, like my own mentality was different.
Yeah.
I wasn't the nicest guy in prison too. Like a lot of people that remembered me from then. I was known as a serious person. I would fight anybody. I didn't care about much, and it's like I ended up being locked up in a cell for 5 months straight, 22 hours a day, and I did over 9 months of my life in segregation. It's a lot on the brain, right? It becomes a lot. You see so many things in there. You see how fake people are, people that turn their backs on their friends, just like that, or it just it's a wild lifestyle, and it's just getting worse now. Like everybody's changing, and me, I just don't fit in there no more. I just woke up one day and I decided like I need to be a father. I need to come out. I'm worth a lot more than what I'm doing. Like Richard helped me with that. Like he was a role model for me. I never looked up to nobody, and yeah, it was almost like a blessing to have him there, right? Because when I was out before and I was training boxing in Moncton, um, I asked him to come spar, but something happened that we both ended up in prison again. And but he really helped me. Now I'm here, and I don't let nothing sidetrack me. Right, all I do is I train and I work I work, go train, work, go train, get my kids every second week, and I'm chasing a dream. I don't got much, you know. It's not easy starting a career like this, and it doesn't pay much just starting. And but the thing is I don't do this for the money, really. I do this because it's my dream, and I want to show my kids. Doesn't matter where you're from, you can achieve your dreams, right? Don't let nobody sidetrack you. Don't listen to nobody. If you got it in your heart, it's yours. God gave it to you for a reason. So even with everything that a lot of people got more, it doesn't matter. Don't need much. We're on our way to the top. That's how I feel.
And I want to thank you, Dan, for opening up about that. This is a judgment-free zone, but I want to understand more about your story, and I can understand like from boxers that I've followed, like Bernard Hopkins to Mike Tyson, people that have been in prison and have talked about their experience. There's like a mentality about it when you're in prison, and unless you've been there, from my understanding, nobody really understands what it's like. And you mentioned that you had spent 9 months in isolation.
Yeah.
I mean, can you just tell us, like, what does that do to your mind when you spend that much time in isolation?
It's crazy how it goes. Like see, the hardest part is usually the 3 first days, and after that you sort of start adapting, right? But it's not really adapting. It's like every human, like we got a survival instinct, right? Like so it's either you adapt or you go crazy, and or you still go crazy. Because I thought I never liked it. Like I would go often in the hole, and I never liked it. Every time I get there, I'd be like, oh, depressed. But like after 3 days of being there, it's like, okay, wake up in the morning. You start your little okay. Okay? Is it early? Is it late enough? Because if I wake up now, I got to be up all day, and then but they turn the light on right in the morning, and like you don't get much stuff in there. So like you try to save parts of your meals, Like you wrap it in toilet paper to try to save something to eat for at night. Like you don't get no like some people are like more mentally ill in there in the whole too, right? So sometimes you end up getting a person that don't stop screaming, or like then you can't sleep or anything. That all you hear is that person screaming, a lot of pain, right? There's a lot of pain in there, and sometimes you got your friends there, so you tough under the door, but your mama can't get you out of there. You know, you can't make a phone call and say, okay, I had enough, I want to get out. You really got to take your heat in away, and it's not good for anybody. Like, it really isn't. Like, you're just days at a time, days become months. All of a sudden, like, you're still there. Like, you got a routine in there, but like, you're boxed in. You know, it's to explain is hard. Like, go in your room and don't bring a TV with you and not your phone. You don't really get a phone call and just stay there for a bit. And eat what they bring you. Like, it's not much. It's not a life for anybody, right? I don't even understand how I lived that life for so long. I don't know how I did it really myself. I don't know how I did it, and it wasn't no easier getting out here, right? Like, I'm not. My life ain't that. So I'm basically what they say institutionalized, right? My brain don't function like other people. They got a class action lawsuit going right now, and I'm part of that. Because for putting people in segregation, they end up causing, and people who already had mental illness, it was worse on them.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I've been seeing psychiatrists since I was like 5 years old, and so it really wasn't good for me.
Yes.
It's not good for nobody. But I'm not saying I didn't deserve to go there. Sometimes, you know what I mean. But it's good that they done a study and everything, that they're gonna help people, because like I said, it wasn't easy for me to adjust out here. Like, you know, in prison, if somebody reaches over your food, it's probably going to be a fight, you know? Just reaches over your food. That would be nothing. Like you go outside, all of a sudden you see everybody's reaching over everybody's food. Even like just a whistle, like nobody whistles in there, or just a sound of keys, because you're so, the guards coming with the keys. You always feel like you got to watch your back, or you don't know who's going to, that's what it took me a while to adjust to the community in a way, right? But I made it. Like, I've been out 3 years, and it's still hard, but it's really worth it, right? I try to inspire people that, especially that comes from, they don't have to come from where I'm from, but I know a lot of people that are out now on the streets, and they're doing better because of how I'm doing. That's what they say, and they say, like, you prove to us that you can do it, now we can do it. And I'm like, I got to be a strength for those people, right? And I'm not going to give in. I'm going to keep chasing my dream, and I'm going to stay out here. And it's been a journey, that's for sure. It's been a long road, but, you know, I regret a lot, but I don't really regret, because I feel I was meant to go through this, so my suffering's not going to be for no reason.
Hey, and I can only imagine that it feels like a dream now that you've been out for 3 years, you know, or a nightmare, right? That you had gone through that. But I'm so glad hearing what you're saying and talking to you. I'm so glad that you've been able to allow what has happened throughout your life, and have been able to come to, it seems like you've been able to come to terms a little bit with it. And you've been able to go forward with your boxing and allow that maybe as fuel. And I wanted to bring up just one other thing that you had mentioned earlier. You were talking about being one of the only indigenous people within your within a white community, and being bullied a lot. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Are you part of the Mohawk tribe? Because I noticed that when you go and walk out for your fights, that you have the flag.
So I'm Mi'kmaq.
Okay, so is it in tribute to the Mohawks?
Really, it's like, we call it the warrior flag, but it basically is from the Mohawks.
Yes.
But we still take it like the warrior flag.
Yep.
So to me, I just bring it to represent my people, to show like I represent, like, we're still standing strong. Like,
mm-hmm.
we're not sitting down. You know what I mean? I'm proud to do that. just because of what happened when I was younger, I was alone and I would still stand my ground, but I would get beat up bad for it, like really bad. Like I had it really bad. Like I don't, like I said, I don't regret my life, and I'm happy with my childhood because it made me who I am today. But growing up to it, I had a lot of pain. Like for example, I wrote a suicide note for my mom when I was 11 years old, and I don't remember doing this, but she remembers, and I was just a little kid, you know what I mean? Like, but that was a lot of pain I had. It was rough. It was rough. Like for me to talk about, there'd be too much, but it's like what you would see in movies in a way, right? Like I would get my face busted up all the time, and like literally people would piss on me. People would like, it was rough. It was really rough, and I made it though. I made it, and I don't hold it against them. I don't hold it against the people that did that to me. I did when I was young, and when I got bigger, I went and attacked a few of them. But like now that I'm older and more mature, I don't hold it against them because they didn't know better, right? They didn't know better. They were getting taught by their parents that Indians were savages. You know what I mean? So how can you hold that against people who are just miseducated, or I think that would be how you say it, right? But yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody though.
What because we already had talked earlier about some of your role models, but I'd imagine in this particular situation where you're younger, you know, you're in a community where you kind of stand out. There's not as many people that are like you. Was there anybody growing up that you really looked up to that allowed you to, you know, unite with your Mi'kmaq culture and heritage?
There really wasn't. Like I didn't know him. I didn't know my dad till my biological dad till I was 16, and like no, there was nobody around that could teach me all that. Like it's when I went to prison that I got more. Like I started learning more about it. Like I was really, yeah, I never had no education about it. I knew I was Native. I knew I was Mi'kmaq. I knew I was different. But it's probably like you could really tell though. Like it's crazy. Just the mentality, the way I was different than everybody. Like it's messed up how it really works, right? Like I was really different than my family. Like they all had glasses, and like I was darker. And they tried to make me look like them. They tried to make me like what they like, but it didn't. It just didn't work that way, right? It didn't work that way. But it just, I was really misunderstood, and yeah, it was a long road.
And again, Dan, I know that this stuff that we're talking about it's pretty, you know, hits home, and I just want to say again, you know, thank you for being open about, you know, your whole experience, because really till I had you on here, I wasn't really aware, you know, of everything that had went on. But is it safe to say with respect to what you had gone through now, are you now having a new license on life? Like, what can you tell me some stuff that since you've left, you know, the institutions that you were in, what are some things about life that you really appreciate now?
Everything. Like, I don't got many friends for sake, but I do got a lot of people that support me and that help me stay on track, that I really trust in everything. But I've learned to appreciate just being free. Like everybody needs so many things. Like I don't need much. Like, no, my free time I go for walks in the woods. I used to not be able to go for walks nowhere, right? I just appreciate my family. I appreciate being able to like show them that you can be at the bottom and it doesn't make you bad because you work hard and you fight for what you believe in and you can like actually achieve it, right? Like they always said that I was a little crazy. People would say stuff like that, and nobody ever thought that I would change, you know? And look at me now in a way, it feels good. Just, it's hard for me to explain because I don't think like how I used to. So for me to say, before I thought I knew everything, right? And I always had a big heart, but now it's like I really appreciate just life in general, like just being free, everything. Having talks with people, having a talk like you right now. I'm honored to be here. Like I've had a smile all the time. Like I just like my daughter's in the back room over there. She's playing a game. My son is over there too. He's doing the same thing. Like it's
How old are your children?
My son is 11, and my daughter's gonna be 9.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just to have them here, right? Just when I wasn't there for most of their lives, right? I've been out for the last 3, and I'm really open with them, and I'm really honest with them, right? Like I said, I don't got much. It's been hard for me to adjust to the community. Like I go to work in the morning, but see, my shift finishes at 1:30 because I have a hard time open after a certain amount of time, right? So that's the thing that I got going on. But it's really rough, but it's all worth it in a way, right? But every day's a battle still. Every day's a battle. This appreciation of life itself, that'll keep you going. And God, number one. Yeah. God is my strength. That's, yeah.
I was gonna ask you too. What brought you to Nova Scotia? And I know you're from New Brunswick, and you said you had spent some time in Quebec. Were you doing time in Nova Scotia, or what had brought you to Nova Scotia?
I was in Spring Hill.
Okay.
And they wouldn't let me go back to New Brunswick. So I wasn't allowed to go there in the halfway house. I wasn't. They were trying to get me away from my circle.
Yep.
And yeah, they wanted me to come this way. Best thing they ever done for me.
Really?
I used to not trust the system in a way, but it's a pretty good system sending me here because my whole life's been different, right? Like I don't have my old friends here with me, and I built a whole new life over here. It actually feels great. That's another blood. What I really appreciate is that in a way I used to be a menace. Like I wouldn't people wouldn't want me around anywhere. It's like people when you want to talk to me, give me a minute. Like now people actually like look up to me, they respect me, and everybody's right nice, and everybody like shows me love and all that. People don't see me the same way they did, and that's a great feeling. That's a great feeling. That's what I really appreciate. Like I never thought I'd get this, right? I never thought, like, once you ruin the trust from people, it's hard to gain back. Yeah, it really is. But that's something I wouldn't give up for the world, right?
I'm really surprised again by the amount of growth that I'm seeing, or the amount of I'm just trying to understand that. At the beginning, I can only imagine you were really mad that you couldn't go back to where you're from, right? I mean, for everybody, they would want to, but it shows a lot of understanding when you're saying that you have confidence with the system, and how they were basically, trying to keep you away from things that would make you go back to that lifestyle that you're trying to get away from. So, is it safe to say, like, in your understanding now is that a lot of the things that they had done were in your interest, or do you still hold a lot of grudges because of the fact that what you were talking about with the class action lawsuit, and the fact that if you have some form of mental illness, it can actually make it worse when you're isolated?
Me, as long as my suffering was not for no reason, as long as if what I went through can help the ones after me, then I'll be okay with what I went through, right? I don't really regret my life. Like I said, it almost feels like it was like let's say you get in the car for a drive, and when you show up there, you're here. But that's how it felt, right? That's the car ride I took for a minute, and I had to change cars, right? It wasn't working for nobody. The community or me, and nothing was working. So now I'm here. I'm a whole different car, right? I'm a better car now. I don't wreck the road as I go. I used to ruin everything. Yeah, that's how I feel. I used to be real hard on the community, right? Like I used to be pretty bad, and that's one thing I feel bad about though, is putting the fear in people. Like people that didn't deserve fear, like people that shouldn't have been going through. Like I never thought of what my actions, the repercussions it could have on just anybody, like just somebody sitting at home and then he hears what's going on the street. That they scared, like they're really scared, and that's really like, yeah, it's that hits me now, right? It didn't like back then. That would never even cross my mind that somebody else could suffer from my actions. That to me were it would have been indirectly, right? Because it wasn't directly towards them. I wouldn't even know about these people in a way, but that's one thing that I do feel bad for. Like I really feel bad for it. But now I want to be a light for the community. So my way of paying back the community, be an inspiration, right?
And what do you think when you see young people that are kind of on a similar path to what you were on when you were younger and you didn't know any better? Like, is there like how do you feel? Like, because it does seem like there's a cycle where there's systemic problems in this country that are not being addressed, and they're leading people onto this path. Like, do you see, because we've already talked about how when you were in your community, there wasn't a lot of supports for you, you know, that you were getting bullied and whatnot. Like, do you see things that should be changed in our society in order to help people not go through the same things that you went through?
School is the main thing, I think. It works for a lot of people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people too, right? So there's like there's a lot of things that could change. Like, see, when I was growing up, because I had to talk to a psychologist, psychiatrist, and I needed medication. Like, they basically made me feel like I was crazy. They say there's something wrong with you. There's something, but really, I have a gift. And I learn quicker than a lot of people. I run faster than a lot of people. I can speak a few languages. I graduated with IS honors for a business and management degree, and so really there was no problem with me. It's just I was misunderstood. Maybe I work better by myself than in a group. Maybe teach me something that's gonna help me go where I want in life. Like every kid that's got a gift, right? Every kid that's really good at something, really loves something, and guiding them away from their strengths is, I think that's a weakness. Do you know?
Okay. I want to bring this up because I wanted to bring this up later. So you have a business management degree. That's amazing.
I did that in Spring Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
And I was just curious because I saw you were posting on your social media a while back that you're into crypto.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, like your journey with crypto, and is this something that you still want to do? Like,
oh yeah, I love crypto. That's like I box and I do crypto, right? Like that's been a journey too, right? Yeah. Some people say it's a gamble, it's a scam, it's this. No, it's not. They don't know what they're talking about. You got to do a lot of research. You got to understand what you're playing with, and you got to see the value in that. If you don't see value, then you shouldn't get involved, right? But like money there's always going to be inflation with money. Bitcoin, we're not going to have that problem in the long run. You want to cross to the United States with $1 billion, you're going to have some issues. You know what I mean? Add that in the suitcase. But you could cross to the United States with $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Nobody can do nothing about it. Then you can send it across the globe, and you don't need a banker say so. So in a way, it gives you the opportunity to be your own banker, right? So by researching what technology, every crypto is different, right? And by researching, doing your own research, you can find out what's really worth it in the long run, right? And like at first, it was like anything. I taught myself everything. I didn't know the language. I didn't know nothing. I would put my money in there. I lost a lot of money in there, right? Like I said, it's been a long journey. I'm just I'm profitable now, right? But I'm not making major money because I understand now you got to manage your risk.
Yes.
Right. Like that's things that I didn't know before, and like if you just look at predictions I made 2 years ago of what was going to go up. Like people would have made a lot of money, for example, right? That's because I researched the companies. I researched what it was, and Right now, there's a big crash, right? Everybody's panicking. Well, when there's a big crash, it's just time to start buying in, right? People don't understand that. They just start panicking and they don't. Everybody says it's a gamble. It's not a gamble. It's like anything. You got to learn the game you're playing. There's a difference between fundamental analysis and technical analysis, right? Fundamental, you go read on the business and find out what you are investing in. And same thing if you're going to trade it. Like you could trade any chart if you use technical analysis, right? Because you go with support and resistance and you got your own little EMAs there, and patterns keep repeating themselves, right? Patterns keep repeating themselves. And if you follow a set of rules and you win more than you lose, then you're going to win, right? It's just following rules. It's hard for humans because our emotions get involved, right? I was always good. I got a win rate of 85%, right? And
wow.
So, yeah, but see, it was okay to have a win rate like that. But what happens when the loss you have clears every like all the profit you made?
Mm-hmm.
You take a big loss, you just lost everything you made. So there's a problem in your system, right? So you want to control your losses, right? That's basically the thing. You get. Let's say I give you I flip a coin right now, and every time it's heads, then I give you 10 cents, and every time it's tails, you give me 5 cents. I flip it 100 times. In the end, you're gonna win, right? Doesn't matter, like, because it's only 5. Like, you're gonna get 10 cents every time you win. You lose, like, it's just 5 cents. So you get more. So that's why you control your losses, because you are gonna lose. If you trade, you're gonna lose. If you invest, it's a different situation, right? But like, you are gonna lose. But if you control your losses, if you win this much every time and you lose this much every time, you're winning, right? So you got to build a system. It's not just I don't recommend anybody to just go in there and start putting their money in. Like, I was a little bit risky. I lost a lot in there, and I don't recommend that to anybody. Like, if they want to get involved in something like that, they talk to somebody or something first, or study a lot, research a lot, and maybe find somebody to talk to, because like I did it myself, and it's been a rough go, right? But I know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at it. Like, it wasn't all for nothing. Like, I got one point I blew an account and I got discouraged, right? And my nephew's a chartered accountant, and he's like, Uncle, he's like, don't be discouraged. He's like, don't worry. He said, don't give up, don't quit. He said, it's like you paid for your college, you paid for your university and training. Like, and he was right, because I gained experience from everything. Like, my account don't blow up no more. I'm protected, right? I got investments and I got trading account. I trade futures and I trade in the spot wallet. Like, I know the game now and I play it well, right? And I don't risk my whole capital, so we're doing all right.
I wanted to say, when you were mentioning that, I couldn't help but think about also you as a fighter becoming, maybe at the beginning being a little more risky, throwing those bombs right off the bat, going in, trying to finish your opponents. That was kind of maybe your strategy the first two fights that you had. It worked for the first fight, it didn't really work for the second fight. Now you're being way more strategic as a fighter. In the last fight that I noticed, you're developing a lot as a fighter. You're showing a lot more than, you're showing a lot of fundamental skills. Is this something also that's bleeding? Like is this mindset also coming into your boxing now, where you're managing your investments kind of as well with your punches, and you're trying to be more cautious? And
it is, yeah. It's everything's changed, right? Like, I'm becoming more disciplined, and I'm gonna be using my strengths, right? Like, a lot more technical. Yeah, you would say, because I didn't know much. Like, I didn't have much techniques. I've been focusing a lot. I had a lot to learn. I still got a lot to learn. I learn every day, right? And that's the thing. I stay in the gym. I keep learning, and I work with Wayne. Like, you're gonna see on the 5th, right? My style is gonna be different than last fight, because there's been a lot of progress still. Like, I was a little gun shy last time. It's not. I'm okay with doing a 4-rounder, but I do look for the finish the whole time. And last time I was gun shy because I got knocked out the fight before. I didn't know what happened, right? Like, last time I thought I slipped, but I seen the video. I didn't slip and fall. I got knocked out, right? But I did think I slipped. So anything is possible, but I'm a lot more strategic now, and I would say what I don't really want to talk about what I'm gonna do. I just really you're gonna see, right?
Great.
I'm more humble now. I'm more humble. Like I'm still when I fight, the beast goes to fight. Right now, you're talking to Dan, so like you're gonna see what I mean. It's gonna be a war. I hope he's ready. I hope he's ready because I'm gonna be ready. I'm already ready.
And what's the DK in the DK Beast mean? Is it Donkey Kong or what is?
So my name's Daniel Kevin Beaupré, right?
Okay, so it's your middle name. I was like, I didn't
And then
know. I was like
it's the
either that
King
or
Beast.
Donair King. I was like, I was thinking.
Donair King.
You like
Yeah.
Donair?
Oh yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah,
awesome.
me too.
Gotta.
No, I was just
Oh
like
yeah.
I was trying to figure. So yeah, okay, Kevin. So DK Beast, yeah. So
Yeah.
the Beast is coming out November 5th. I like that energy.
I know that is how it is, right? Because it's always gonna follow me in a way, right? It's hard to explain. If you can ask anybody, they'll talk to you about my power, about my strength, and like that's the beast right there, right? It's because I realize I got a big heart and I got a short fuse, but I don't like violence that much no more, right? So, but the beast is like the violence. So when I'm training, I'm in there. I'm enjoying it, but then after that, that's gone, right? It's back to a peaceful life, per se, right? But when it comes to that, it's wartime, and it's time to put it on, right? It's time to let it out, and that's really my style, though. I'm going for the finish. Like, if I gotta go for the finish, the whole fight, I will. Like I was gun shy last time. I got caught too, and it didn't really hurt, but it's like it reminded me of what happened. But this time, I got something ready for that.
And I have to ask. I talk with Kyle. I talk with Brett. You and Brett had that fight with 14 seconds between both of you right after. Do you think that that's a fight in the future because you guys are both on this card? Do you think that you guys will ever run it back, or you feel like does he deserve that opportunity? Or
I don't think he does right now.
Okay.
Because he didn't fight yet. Like not just that, because he caught me out before the last fight, the 5th of November. Mm-hmm. Then when the time come for the contract, they don't want to sign it now. They don't want to. So like, what would be the point of me signing the contract that he could just walk away like one day, decide, okay, I don't want this, because it's a bad idea for him. Mm-hmm. It's a bad. He can think what he wants. But it's a bad idea for him. If he wins a couple fights, then wants to fight me, same thing's gonna happen as last time. That's all I can say about that.
Were you guys able, like after that fight, to be on good terms though?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're on good terms right now. It's just good. When I think about that, he calls me out and stuff. It gets under my skin a little bit, right? Like, because I was gonna give him the opportunity, but I really respect him a lot. Like I do. Like I also believe in Achieve. Like he's doing some good things. Like he's trying to help the community. That to me, that I respect that, right? And I got respect for the guy. Like I like him.
Yeah.
I tried to get older and get some training in sometime, but we never done it. But it's all good though. We probably get some training one day. You know what I mean? But for now, I'm at Citadel. I'm gonna stay at Citadel though. I'm happy to be there. But we should still like all the best bosses around and stuff. We should really start getting together and start training together and sparring together. Like we got to stop being in opposition, right? Like we got to bring some people here and we got to beat these people, the away team. You know what I mean? That's what I believe. But
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I just felt like I would ask that. I wanted to ask that because I was like, this. It's just interesting. Like again, like with what happened, right? The kind of the story. And I'm really glad though, Dan, that you've been very open with me about all this. But I'm really glad that this has changed you for the better. You've been able to reflect on a lot of things. And when we were talking earlier about crypto, and your business management, is this a career path that you see yourself doing, like while you're fighting or maybe after fighting, like getting into management, maybe managing fighters or anything like that?
That is something I thought about because, you see, when I went to Montreal, like if I would have had a manager, all that stuff wouldn't have happened in the background because he would have sheltered me from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would have made sure that I was only there worried about fighting, and that's experience that I brought back, and that's something that I want to help fighters with, right? Like, because you can have the skills but be beat mentally before the fight and perform the shittiest you never thought you could perform like that, right? And make a fool of yourself like I did. Or if you have a team that's going to be there to protect you from that, all you got to worry is going in that ring and boxing that. It's just another boxing match, right? Yes, you go do your thing. But if you ain't there in your head, how can you do your thing, right? So I would like to be able to, I would like to help people not go through that. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I don't know if all the other promotions are like that, but yeah, they showed me what's up there.
Well, there's some interesting stuff that happens in Montreal in the fight scene. I don't know if you saw the French fighter. This was like a few, maybe even a month ago now. There's a French fighter that at the start of the bell, he forfeited the match because he believed that he wasn't going to be covered by insurance. I believe it was like the same company. I really strongly recommend looking it up if you haven't already.
Sure.
There's some interesting stuff that goes on there. I mean, it is the fight capital of of Canada, and national team trains there, and then there's a lot of pros that train there. Artur, Beterbiev,
Yeah.
Somebody that's the champion for your weight class.
Yeah.
He's there.
He's a powerhouse, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, he's. I always wonder to myself, like, because you never know until you actually fight a person or you're up close and whatever. But he's a really strong boxer. He's gone against Alexander Usyk. I think he was at a cruiserweight at one point, right? So he was a lot heavier before. Very strong guy. But does he? I don't know about his technical skills. What do you measure with his technical skills? Do you think he's just a powerhouse, or do you think he actually has the boxing pedigree as well?
I think he makes what works for him work, right? Like he doesn't try to overdo things. Like what works for him, he makes that happen, and that's what I see in him, right? So it works for him, but one day he's gonna find somebody that it's not gonna work with them, and then he's gonna have to find it in him to pull something out of the hat, right? Like that's really how it goes. Really, what I learned is you can have a hammer, but if you can't put it on the nail, it's worth nothing, right? So like, I know I hit hard both hands, so I gotta make sure that I throw enough that they land, right? Not being gun shy. So yeah, I think he's a powerhouse. I think he's good enough. He's proven it, right? He's proven it. He got different style than other people, but I like watching him.
I want to see him fight Bivol. I want to see him fight Bivol because originally I was like originally I'll be honest, I was on a little bit on the Canelo bandwagon. I was like, maybe Canelo can compete with the 175ers, and it doesn't really look like he can, to be honest. But I really would like to see all of the light heavyweights come together and see who's the king of the light heavyweights with Bivol, I mean he's such a technical boxer. I'd like to see him against Beterbiev, see who's the best of the two.
I think Bivol
sure that'll come down. Yeah, Bivol's I guess the way I'd explain him is he's like a bomb defuse technician. He's able to create distance and punch from a distance and fully extend it from a distance.
And he's able to keep it right there.
He doesn't smother his punches.
No, he don't. No.
Yeah.
He controls the range, right? He really controls the fight. Like he's got it. He's got it. Yeah. He proved it against Canelo, but that's the first time I didn't vote for Canelo. It's like
really?
It's the first time, like Canelo's always been like I love watching him. I always take his side, but this time there's just something about Bivol, right? His experience, just the way he boxes, like he knows what he's doing.
Well, hey, it's been a really wonderful time talking with you, Dan. Again, I really appreciate you how open and honest you were in this conversation. And I really look forward to seeing your fight coming up November 5th. I'm going to be there, so I'd love to catch up with you after the fight
sure.
and get your thoughts. And I'm really excited. I'm really happy to hear your new lease and new outlook on life. I love hearing that, and I'm really excited for what because this podcast is a lot about the community as well, and I'm really excited to see what all of us can do for our community, and try to improve things through boxing, because that's really where it's
No, you're right. Hey, boxing taught me the discipline I need, because without boxing, it would be way harder. Like you gotta stay sober, don't drink, don't smoke. It keeps me down to earth. You know what I mean? So it's awesome. But if we can help the community, let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much there, Dan. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too, brother. Take care, okay?
Okay. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. A couple things to take with us home is how when Daniel was talking with us, of course, he was sharing his story. And, we had covered a lot of things that, of course, Daniel is not proud of. But what I'm really proud of with him is how his perspective on life and his new lease for life has begun. He had talked about how, when he was in prison, he kind of woke up and realized he didn't want to be that person anymore. Of course, he wanted to be a father, and he is a father. This is a very important thing that I think we can all take home with us, is the idea that, when we're doing something, when we've spent so much time in a certain pattern or a certain set of behavior, we can always break that pattern. We can always try to reinvent ourselves and become better people. And I'm really glad that Daniel came on and was able to share his story, because I imagine some people who are listening might be in a very similar situation and might want to hear what he has to say, because, of course, that's a long period of time to be institutionalized. Of course, he had also mentioned about the class action lawsuit and other things that I wasn't even aware of. So if you guys are listening, make sure to follow Daniel and his story. And so without further ado, guys, as always, if you're listening to this podcast and you liked it, make sure to give it a rating, and then also make sure to subscribe to it. That way, when a new episode comes out, you won't miss it. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, if you could like, comment, and share this video, it gets it out there. And you can obviously subscribe, and then that way, when new episodes come out, you won't miss it. If you're ever wanting to know more updates about this podcast, the best way is to follow Good People, Bad Intentions on Instagram, and that's where I post a lot of updates as far as the new episodes that are coming out, as well as any background information or any posts that I think are interesting. So follow us there. And without further ado, guys, have a good rest of your day.